It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We'll be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics. So stick around. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot to talk about. It's going to be pretty warm as opposed to outside. So should be a good show today. Wade, what's happening?
Man, not a lot. It is Tuesday. It is the first bitter Tuesday of the week, and I'm just constantly refreshing Nash severe weather, waiting to see what's going to happen the rest of the week. We've reached I'm married into the school system, and so basically, and obviously our careers revolve around the school system largely as well. So. You're always refreshing that Nash severe weather, seeing what we got going on coming down later.
Yeah, and it's supposed to get
some of ours have already gotten moved to Thursday.
We've had some Friday night games moved up to Thursday as a result of what is expected, I guess, overnight on Thursday, maybe, and what's supposed to be on tap for the weekend. So stay weather alert, obviously, and be sure and check your local listings because the schedules that we have will be subject to change without prior notice. Is probably the best way to attack that. Yeah. Today's schedule pretty well intact, though. In the next hour, we will be joined, as we typically are on Tuesdays, by the Blue Raider voice. You can find him at Choose Chip on Twitter. Chip Walters, the play-by-play voice of Middle Tennessee State football and men's basketball, will be joining us to bring us up to speed on all things Blue Raider. In our next segment, we're going to visit with Ben VOLIN of the Boston Globe because at the time it was announced, it was the biggest move of the NFL's postseason as the New England Patriots parted ways with first-year coach Gerard Mayo. Now, that has since kind of been superseded, but it's where we are. We've got Ben VOLIN joining us at 2:20 to talk about the Patriots situation and what may be coming up for the Patriots and how it might be of local interest. So, looking forward to all of that with Ben at 2:20. Again, we'll have Chip at 3 o'clock talking some Middle Tennessee State athletics, college football, always something going on, and not just playoffs. There was, or there is to be a meeting, I think, somewhere in Illinois, the northern part of Illinois, specifically to discuss a certain football program changing conferences. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. Also, some transfer portal news. A FCS champion was decided last night, and if you keep up with FCS, then you're probably familiar with who it was because it's certainly not their first national championship. Got some Titans stuff to talk about, both on and off the field. So lot to get into. And again, it is Top Tuesday. Wade and I will close things out by giving you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. As in, these may be ours, they may not be ours. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the final segment. But a lot to get to. Shall we start getting to it, Wade?
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's been a busy day already. We might as well dive right in.
Busy from the start, man. So, yeah, let's go ahead and keep it rolling with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
You want your rundown? I got your rundown, folks. Let's kick things off with girls basketball action from last night. On the hardwood, it was Brentwood defeating Siegel 76-28. Culleoka fell to Lewis County 39-30. Good Pasture topping Kenwood 73-41. Boys basketball action last night. It was Siegel 53, Brentwood 52. Really good ball game there. It was a good one between Lewis County and Culleoka as well. Lewis County completing the sweep of the 46-36 win in that showdown. East Nashville 61, Maplewood 51. Good Pasture all over Kenwood 62-39. Santa Fe turning back Hickman County 73-58. Women's
Alden Slaughter with 43 in that one.
That's it?
Yeah, exactly. Now up to 3,062. Moving past a certain former NBA player from Memphis with that performance on Tennessee's all-time scoring list. So
good effort from him. Let's see if Santa Fe can keep things rolling. That was a nice win for him last night. Again, 73-58 versus Hickman County. Women's college basketball. Fisk takes care of the NAIA version of Southern at Southern University of New Orleans, 74-69. Good win there. Fisk also took care of Southern on the men's side, 83-81. Speaking of men's action, it was Dalton State 75. UT Southern fell with just 62. Tough loss for Andy Sharp and the Firehawks there. NBA action last night. The Grizzlies are back at home, and the Grizzlies have a nice win. 119-104 was your final last night over the visiting Dallas Mavericks.
Tonight's schedule, again, double check these because weather may have impacted some of them. Middle Tennessee Christian in a doubleheader at Battleground Academy. Girls to start it up at 6 o'clock, followed by the guys. Also, 6 o'clock doubleheader. You've got East Hickman at Battle Creek. Oakland is at Beach. Columbia Central travels to Blackman. Page is at Brentwood. Brentwood Academy is hosting Father Ryan. Laverne is at Clarksville. Davidson Academy goes to Clarksville Academy. Creekwood hosts Lawson. Collinwood is over at Culleoka. Friendship Christian goes to Donaldson Christian. Kirkwood is at Dixon County. Liberty Creek is at East Robertson. Franklin Road Academy is hosting Webb School. You've got White House Heritage going to Gallatin. Mount Juliet Christian is at Good Pasture. I think that's a boys-only matchup. Double check that because, again, I don't believe Mount Juliet Christian is playing girls basketball this year. Stewart's Creek is at Green Hill. Cookville is at Hendersonville. Franklin goes to Independence. Pearl Cone makes the long drive to Gainsboro, taking on Jackson County. Greenbrier is at Joe Burns. Mount Juliet goes to Lebanon. Ensworth is at Lipscomb Academy. Lauderdale County of Alabama comes up to Loretto. Hampshire is at Mount Pleasant. Centennial goes to Nolensville. Columbia Academy is at Providence Christian. Stratford is at Republic. Also, Wayne County is at Richland in a doubleheader that will be broadcast on Pulaski Citizen Live starting at 6 o'clock.
Other games on the docket. I lost my place in the rundown there. Other games on the docket, though, are Macon County at Rockvale. Portland will be at Rossview. You can catch Fairview, who is at Santa Fe. More chances to see Alden Slaughter, it sounds like, tonight. Cheatham County is at White House. White County is at Wilson Central. Summertown and Eagleville will get it on tonight. Girls basketball action. A single game between Dayspring Academy, who's at Franklin Classical. That game actually gets underway at 4:30. At 6 o'clock, it'll be Harpeth Hall at CPA. Montgomery Central will be traveling to Glencliff. Whites Creek is at Kip Nashville. Fowler Collegiate is at Lead Academy. St. Cecilia Academy taking on Pope John Paul II. Trousdale County hitting the road for a trip to Smyrna. Springfield is at Station Camp. Knowledge Academies visiting STEM Academy, and Providence Christian at University School of Nashville to close this out in girls basketball action tonight.
Boys only game, 6 o'clock Merrill Hyde is at Christian Community. At 7, Life Christian Academy is at Franklin Classical. 7:30, Ezel Harding is at Davidson Academy. I feel like that's the back end of a doubleheader, but maybe not. Also at 7:30, Nashville Christian is at Harpeth. And MBA, Montgomery Bell Academy plays at Christ Presbyterian Academy this evening. Not sure of a time. Women's action. Fisk will play Dillard out of Louisiana at Stillman College. Actually, that game started about 10 minutes ago down in Tuscaloosa. 6 o'clock start. You can see it on ESPN2. Top-ranked Tennessee goes to Florida in a big top 10 matchup. Followed by number 14, Mississippi State at Vanderbilt at 8 on ESPNU. And on FanDuel Sports, the Nashville Predators go for their third straight victory. They are at Winnipeg. That's a 7 o'clock puck drop. Again, you can see it on FanDuel Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. top story brought to you as always by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia. It has long been referred to as Black Monday, but in Nashville, it has become Black Tuesday, the Tuesday following the end of the NFL regular season. Last year, it was Mike Vrabel that was dismissed on a Tuesday. This morning, it was General Manager Ran Carthon, who has been dismissed after 2 seasons during which the Titans went 9-25, and the news is not being received very well either locally or nationally. And I don't know that it should be, because I'm not sure. I don't know that Ran Carthon shouldn't have gotten fired. But if he should have gotten fired, he shouldn't have been the only person to get fired, would be my opinion. I think and here's the thing. Last year when they made these changes and brought Callahan in and elevated Chad Brinker and everything else that they did, they talked about collaboration, everybody getting on the same page. You're ripping people off the same page if you are not dealing with that trio as a singular unit, in my opinion. Either get rid of Brinker, Carthon, and Callahan, or leave them all in place and let them do what they can do with another season. This dysfunction is the word that is being thrown around a lot in reaction to this move, and I can't argue it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It feels like it certainly felt like a shock that only one piece of this puzzle was kind of removed from the equation to me, right?
Yeah. And I mean, unless Ran was, familiar with some medical backgrounds that he didn't disclose or something, I don't know how you make what took place this season his fault and his alone. I mean, he acquired some talent that, had it been available, may have accomplished what they were looking to accomplish. But, I mean, from Snead to the other injuries, Cushenberry, the folks that you brought in that weren't able to get on the field because they were hurt, you got to feel like that had an impact on eventual 3-14. So I don't know how this falls at his feet any more than it does at anybody else's. And, I don't know that we're going to get an explanation on that, because as Teresa Walker of the Associated Press pointed out yesterday, Amy Adams Strunk doesn't speak to anybody that's not on her payroll.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing too, if you're a fan, right? Is you kind of are looking for answers and you're only getting one side of the equation. And so to me, I'm with you. That is the kind of real surprise to me today, is the fact that Ran Carthon, amongst all 3 of those pieces, with Chad Brinker as well as first-year head coach Brian Callahan,
both of whom he had a hand in hiring.
Right. It felt like all for one, one for all, and instead he's the scapegoat, it seems like, for some reason. And, it's going to be very interesting, because the statements that come out today kind of paint a odd picture on the managerial situation going forward.
Yeah. I just don't understand how you fire the guy who hired both the guy above him and the guy below him, and they both stay. But yeah, the statements that came out of Ascension State St. Thomas Sports Park were odd. Brinker says, again, to Jim Wyatt of TitansOnline.com, the Titans want someone who has been a scout and evaluator that has helped set draft boards for winning franchises. i.e. ran Carthon when he was at San Francisco. That person will have day-to-day responsibility over the roster and coaching staff. This is from Brinker and Burke Nihill, the Titans president and CEO. Man, they got a lot of folks in a lot of positions. Brinker will break any ties because Strunk wants clarity inside football operations. Chad is the leader of the football program, so Chad will be the final authority on all football matters, including the roster, according to Nihill in this article by Teresa Walker of the Associated Press. You know, at some point, this team, this franchise, has to set its feet and commit to something and somebody for a period of time. You know, the revolving door at general manager and suddenly the revolving door at coach, and with your former coach probably being the most sought after guy in this year's cycle, doesn't help the situation any either. That joke and laughing stock are being thrown around a lot with the Nashville-based franchise in the National Football League right now.
No doubt. And, you know, I got to look no further than shout out to my boy Vincent Love, who's my OG MTSU homie, and he's as diehard of a Titans fan as they get. And
is that Vincenzo?
That's he hate V in the flesh, buddy. Go Blue Raiders in the house. But he, even he is painting a grim picture. So that's when you know things have kind of gotten bad. And I heard this piece on Nashville radio today too. I mean, it's frustrating too because you can't even enjoy the 24 hours of having the number one pick. Don't necessarily know what you're going to do with the number one pick. Don't necessarily know if you trust anybody to make the number one pick or what to do with it. But it's just nice. It's a nice shiny toy that you have at your disposal there. And you can't even kind of enjoy it for 24 hours before there's kind of more negative news that comes in the cycle here.
Yeah, and now you've got somebody else that's ultimately going to, well, I guess Chad Brinker's going to make that decision. I don't know.
Seems like it.
This is a very odd situation. And here's my question. Who comes in here to be general manager knowing that, A, all they can do is fall on their sword because Chad Brinker is the one making the decisions? Why do you take this job?
It's a great question.
You know, what can I do other than eventually get fired? Because the guy above me has taken no accountability. So keep an eye on it, along with the number one pick and everything else that's going on with the Tennessee Titans. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, speaking of dysfunction, we will be joined by Ben VOLIN of the Boston Globe talking about the New England Patriots. And again, the move that had been the leader in the clubhouse for stunners heading into the postseason. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new, handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. I imagine one of them will be to not fire a coach or a GM in 2025. Amy Adams Strunk has already broken hers. But anyway, right now we're pleased to be joined by Ben VOLIN of the Boston Globe because, again, as Sunday's slate of Week 18 ball games wrapped up, we got word that Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots had pulled the plug on first-year coach Gerard Mayo after one season, and it seemed to be met with a lot of the same type surprise that we have had this morning with the announcement of Ran Carthon being dismissed by the Tennessee Titans. But Ben, first of all, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking some time with us. Second, was this a surprise on the ground to the degree that it was across the league?
I'd say the biggest surprise for me, and thank you for having me on today, the biggest surprise for me is the swiftness in which it happened. About 80 minutes after the game ended is when reports emerged, and so it obviously happened right after that. I think it happened probably about 4:45, and the game was over at 4 o'clock. So they didn't even make it to Black Monday with Gerard Mayo. It was off with his head as soon as the game ended. And they had the statement, a lengthy statement, ready to go. So this was not something that happened spur of the moment. And I'm a little surprised because it was a move that the Crafts made that firing Gerard Mayo frankly, it makes them look bad. They put so much talk into, how he was their handpicked guy and he was the one they viewed as Bill Belichick's successor. And to fire him after 1 year is, an embarrassing move for an owner. So in a way, I give them credit for, doing it, even though it made him look bad, firing Gerard Mayo. The fact that they didn't wait, nothing about what the Patriots have done since then is about waiting. They're in rush right now. They fired Mayo as soon as the game was over. Today's Tuesday. They've already interviewed 2 candidates that probably satisfy the Rooney Rule, so they can move forward now with a hire. The Patriots are on top of this and getting moving, which again points to what everyone believes is that this whole process is engineered for Mike Vrabel to end up in New England. We'll see if that's the case, but the speed with which everything is progressing certainly suggests that they're trying to move quickly to snag Mike Vrabel before another team does.
And to that end, Ben, and Wade is a huge Jets fan, so I'm probably stealing a question from him, but how much do you feel like Vrabel's connection to the Jets, I think he interviewed with the Jets Friday, maybe. How much did that accelerate this situation, do you feel like, or did it?
Wade and I are on the same wavelength on this one. There was a whole Mike Vrabel media tour on Friday where that huge article from The Athletic came out. And then he was also interviewing for the Jets that day. And I think all of that was pointed squarely at Robert Kraft. The crux of the article was, hey, I can be collaborative and I'm not so hard to work with. And look at all these Browns guys saying how easy I am to work with. That was aimed right at Robert Kraft, whose number one word has been collaboration since firing Bill Belichick. And then the fact that it was the Friday before the final game. Hey, it's the Jets. If you want me, don't let me go to the Jets now. So I think absolutely this is all connected. And I think the speed with which the Patriots are processing now, I think is a sign that they want to move quickly and make sure they get a guy like Vrabel, because they can't hire someone now. They can't hire Ben Johnson. The NFL wants you to slow down the process. And if they wanted to hire Ben Johnson or Brian Flores, they have to wait until at least after the divisional round to even interview them. And then, as long as those teams are alive in the playoffs, they have to wait. Whereas if you're not employed right now, like Mike Vrabel or the two guys the Patriots interviewed today, Byron Leftwich or Pep Hamilton, you can hire those guys immediately. So I think the Patriots, not to be cynical, but I think they have gone through the Rooney Rule. They've satisfied that. And now if they want to, they can hire Vrabel right this second if they want to.
Yeah, I'm
It's
curious
tough
about
not
that.
to be. It's tough not to be cynical about the Rooney Rule at this point, but yeah, go ahead, Wade.
No doubt. And I wanted to ask you a couple real quick here, Ben. It's interesting we're bringing you on today. We're talking about our own general manager situation. What's the latest with the Patriots and their GM? Is Elliott Wolf kind of going to remain in that role after it seems like he was the de facto GM for the franchise this year?
Well, I think he's going to be sticking around probably at least through the draft. Robert Kraft was a little cagey about the whole thing. He said Elliott Wolf and his number 2 guy, Alonzo Highsmith, will be involved in the interview process. But his answers were very brief, and it did not create the most, it didn't show the strongest faith in Elliott Wolf. I think he's going to be sticking around. I wouldn't be surprised if he even stays through the season. It'd be weird if you let the guy handle your draft and then fire him right away. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they brought someone else in that quietly became the shadow general manager, or if this ended up 2025 just ended up being the phrase is escaping me right now, but like a dummy year, and they just get through the year and then they bring in the guy. I've been hearing Mike Vrabel rumors for 2 years with the Patriots, and the other rumors I'm hearing are that the Crafts love Nick Caserio, the GM of the Texans. So like maybe that takes another year to unwind everything, and the Patriots don't get their dream scenario in place until maybe 2026. But Elliott Wolf, I don't think, is on the most solid ground, but I don't think the Patriots are going to blow him out because there's just so much work done with the draft and the offseason and everything. But I don't think he's on the firmest ground. I will say, too, with your guys, with Rand Carthon, I don't know how much this really adds, but I can say this wasn't a spur of the moment type thing of firing Rand Carthon. I've actually been hearing for like over a month now that he was in real trouble. And that, someone's like, yeah, the analytics guy is the one who's got the owner's voice now. And I believe that's Chad Breaker who became in charge today. So this was not something that, was decided. I don't know if it's the right decision to move on from Rand Carthon, but this is not something that happened overnight. This is something that had been heading this way now for at least a month, if not more.
That sounds about right, given the state of Nashville these days. And Ben, the other part I was going to ask you too, with kind of Wolf in the mix, what is the Patriots' plan should things disintegrate with Vrabel? Do they just immediately pause and wait for some of those guys in playoffs to kind of become available? Or what's their pivot in your mind?
I mean, it does seem like there is only one logical conclusion right now, but it does seem like maybe they are going to do a full search. Maybe they are, because there was a report yesterday that they have put in a request for Ben Johnson. I mean, I think if they're interviewing Mike Vrabel, I think they've got to interview Brian Flores, another guy who's a former longtime Patriot. And I think actually did pretty well, especially his last 2 years as the Dolphins head coach. And then now has been doing fantastic as the Vikings defensive coordinator. So I would think Brian Flores would be on their list. And then who knows? I mean, if they're really willing to open it up, they should be looking at Cliff Kingsbury. They should be looking at Liam Cohen, some of these offensive coordinators who can maybe get the most out of Drake May. But man, it really does seem like Vrabel's the target. And then, offensive coordinator, maybe Josh McDaniels comes back, another guy who's currently unemployed. I think still has a great relationship with the Patriots. So I don't know. It does seem like the wheels are in motion to put kind of Vrabel back, and then we'll see if the other pieces fall in place too with Josh McDaniels and Nick Caserio eventually.
It really doesn't sound like there's much of a plan B, though, does it, Ben? It really kind of feels like Vrabel or bust in this situation.
Well, we'll see. Maybe that's just all of us on the outside just kind of making some logical assumptions, I guess. I mean, the speed with which they're conducting everything this week, to me, only further adds, to the signs that they're going all in on Vrabel. Because there's no need to do this quickly if they're really going to do a thorough, drawn out search. And the Crafts have never, I don't think since Pete Carroll in 1996 or 1997, had they hired a guy from the outside. They knew they targeted Belichick. They had a previous relationship with him, and they targeted him. They targeted, they totally skipped the process last year and elevated Gerard Mayo without interviewing anyone. When they've needed offensive coordinators the last couple of years, they've reverse engineered it where they knew who they wanted, and then they filled in the pieces backwards in the interview process. So they've always been a relationship team, which again, it would be very out of the ordinary, out of their DNA for them to hire a head coach who they just had no relationship with.
Ben VOLIN of the Boston Globe joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben VOLIN, VOLIN. Am I pronouncing that correct? It's not Volin or anything like that. Okay, great.
No, I say it rhymes with stolen, so you got it right.
Other than be in the wrong place at the wrong time, did Gerard Mayo do anything to warrant his dismissal after one season?
Well, I do feel a lot worse for Mayo now that he has been dumped and he is one and done. I look at it as he shouldn't have had the job to begin with. He was not ready for the job. He was taking over a roster that was the worst in the NFL. He didn't have one of the biggest drawbacks to Mayo is he'd never been outside Foxborough before. He's only been a coach for a few years, so he didn't have the network of people. They really relied on Elliot Wolf to fill out the staff. He was elevated to a job that he just wasn't prepared for. It was a bad situation, and they didn't give him any assistance on the coaching staff. There was very little experience. First-time coordinators on both sides of the ball, a first-time GM, new coaches, everyone in new jobs all at once. It was a very difficult ask. That said, Mayo didn't do a whole lot, I don't think, to warrant a second year. And I fall on the side of, I think the Crafts just had to rip off the Band-Aid and make the move. His decision-making on fourth down was just maddening, so conservative. No one loved to punt on 4th and 1 from opponent's territory more than Gerard Mayo, or against you guys, against the Titans, go for 2 at the end, go for the win. Instead, he kicks the extra point. They lose in overtime. Just weird decisions all year. Poor messaging from the podium. It became a running joke. Every Monday he was walking back something that he said or had to apologize for something that he said. So it's just, it was a bad fit from the start. And I feel for him now. It's going to take him a little while. This move, it kind of sped up his trajectory, and now he kind of crashes. And he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have that network around the league. So he's going to have to find someone to catch on with. If he had just taken a more normal route, like go defensive coordinator, wait a few more years, perhaps this would have worked out better for him, this opportunity. So I feel for him in that sense, but I just kind of feel like he got a job that he wasn't ready for. And I think the Crafts, they were willing to give it a shot for 1 year, but I think they're probably right to move on, and now that they've got a golden asset in Drake May, I think they need to get him better, more established coaching.
That said, how did he get the job?
I mean, the Crafts did promise him, in contract to be the coach in waiting for Bill Belichick. They added that.
Why? Knowing all of that.
It's a great question. And, I think the Crafts, I think the crux of it is I don't think they expected it to happen so soon. I think they expected Belichick to maybe have 2 more years, and then they didn't expect to go 4-13 last year and having to fire Belichick. And I think they were maybe caught without a real succession plan there, and they were too scared to go through a full interview process. But yeah, it is kind of interesting why they made Mayo, the coach in waiting. It allowed them to, skip all the rules and skip all the processes that the NFL wants them to go through as far as hiring a coach. They didn't have to interview anyone. They were just able to elevate Gerard Mayo last year. I mean, it is crazy that they would put an inexperienced coach in that position and then, not let him see it through. Like, it's the Kraft's fault that Gerard Mayo, was in his, it all goes to the Krafts. Like, it's not Gerard Mayo's fault that he was inexperienced. So, it is crazy that they didn't let him see it through longer, give him a little more, a little more leash in that sense. But, at the same time, I do think for the best move for the organization, it was going to be a tough sell to bring Gerard Mayo back. The fans are ticked off. They were booing the team for winning the game the other day. I think fans were canceling season tickets left and right. And if, you brought Gerard Mayo back, that was going to be a tough sell. So I think the Krafts, they pretty much had to make the move.
Yeah, Ben, what does that say about ownership? We see this so many times. The ego kind of gets in the way. And I found it kind of interesting for as prideful of an ownership group with the Kraft family and the organization. They did pull the plug on a guy that they hand selected. I thought that was an interesting dynamic in this whole situation. They were willing to have some egg on their face today to maybe ensure some success down the road. It seems like.
I agree. I give them credit for making
in a weird way. I give them credit for it.
Right. Yeah, because it does make them it does get egg on their face a little bit. On the other hand, though, as I said, it would have been worse for the business, I think, if they kept Gerard Mayo. I think the fans were done with him. They wanted they need to, keeping Mayo would not have been an exciting thing for the franchise, and it would have, I think, really hurt. This team has not had to worry about season ticket sales, but with the direction of the franchise, I think, I heard from several who were like, I'm done with this, and I heard stories about the full court press the Patriots were putting on fans the other day for season tickets, bringing them down to the field pregame and allowing them to sign up for tickets without deposits and things like that. So yes, it made them look embarrassing, but I still think it was the least, it was the best move for their business. And it was the move, like, the Krafts are businessmen first, and they're going to do what's best for the Patriots in that sense. So if keeping Mayo would have done that, then they would have done that. But, not only did they put him in a bad spot, but the firing too is they did not show him a lot of respect. They blew him out Sunday immediately after the game. They didn't let him address the team on Monday morning. Doug Peterson of the Jaguars addressed the team after he got fired on Monday morning. They didn't let Gerard Mayo say goodbye to his players. They didn't let him, give one last press conference or anything like that. Just very quickly kind of brushing him aside.
And when Jacksonville makes you look worse, that's probably not a good sign either.
No, it's not. So, and if this thing, once again, if this is all just reverse engineered to put Mike Vrabel as head coach, I think fans will be happy with Vrabel. But again, it'll be a sign that the Krafts really haven't learned anything, and that they're still just kind of stuck in their own ways and treating the Patriots like a family business.
And whatever happened to the Patriot way?
I think it was really the Brady way, and it was the Brady and Belichick way. And it worked when, you had a coach who was really on point and on top of his stuff, and he had a quarterback who was willing to be chewed out. And I think that's always been such an underrated quality of Brady. And one reason why the Patriots stayed together for so long was he was willing to get chewed out in front of the team and to just be one of the 53 guys. And it really helped everyone else fall in line when they see Tom Brady getting chewed out or Tom Brady running a lap or whatever. And Brady put up with it for a while. In the end, he got sick of Belichick always chewing him out, and that's what led to the divorce. But for 18 years, he took it. And I think that's why there was a Patriot way. Now there's no Patriot way, and they're looking to, reestablish any sort of culture within the building. But, now it's going to be 3 head coaches in 3 years, 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years. They're now the Jets. They're now one of these franchises that's just cycling through coaches all the time. And at least they look like they found one, if not maybe 2 quarterbacks with Drake May and Joe Milton. So at least they're on decent footing moving forward, because looks like they do have a quarterback.
With all of that said, with regards to Bill Belichick, Ben, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you what your reaction was to him getting the North Carolina job, and now maybe a month or so removed from that actual announcement. What are your expectations for that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I was not surprised that he didn't get an NFL job because, just his age and his kind of grumpy persona. It's a tough sell in today's NFL. Coaching is a young man's game. Coaches are 38 years old now. So when he didn't get interest last year in the NFL, I wasn't shocked to not see him get interest. I was a little surprised to see him, take a job like UNC. Like, that's not exactly a blue blood college football program, but I think that's the caliber of program that, is willing to hand over, authority to a guy like Bill Belichick. But then once we saw the contract, like, he clearly has, one eye on the NFL still. And if an NFL opportunity came up, the buyout, even this year, if an owner right now wanted Bill Belichick, his buyout to UNC is $10 million. An owner would pay that, and then next year, starting in next year, it drops to $1 million. That's chump change. I mean, they can find that in their couch cushion. So Belichick is not wedded to the UNC job. If an NFL team came calling, I think he would drop UNC at a moment's notice and go back to the NFL. But I just think at his age, teams aren't looking for a guy who's as accomplished as Belichick is. And I think he's probably the greatest, if not one of the top 2 or 3 in NFL history. He's always been a little difficult to work with. He needs full control. It's a tough sell in today's NFL.
Absolutely. Ben, I wanted to ask before we get you out of here, you mentioned UNC and quarterbacks. You seem like you have a good one there in Drake May. Milton obviously looked fantastic versus the Bills' second string, but still looked pretty good. Biggest need, or what do you maybe see the Patriots doing with their draft selection in the first round this year?
Biggest need is everything else.
Makes sense.
Roster is brutal. They have holes everywhere. I think the offense, especially, they've got to fix it. Since Brady left, I think they're 28th in scoring and 30th in touchdown passes. Now, I think Drake's a good one. I was really impressed with how Drake May played this year, especially with the worst offensive line in the league, worst receiving core in the league. Really made some plays and did a nice job. Now, they've got the number 4 pick, which, fans are upset that they lost number 1, and I get it because they badly need to trade down. They need to trade down and accumulate picks, and they need bodies much more than they need a top 5 pick. That said, it's, I don't know if number 4 is too terrible because the 3 teams ahead of them, Titans, Browns, and Giants, are all probably going to go. It seems like they're going to go quarterback. So if a 4th quarterback emerges, maybe they can get a team to trade up, or maybe the Patriots can get the best position player in the entire draft, whether it's Travis Hunter, whether it's a left tackle. Those are their 2 biggest needs. They need a number 1 receiver. They haven't had a 700-yard receiver the last 2 years, and not just wide receivers, but anyone on the team. No one's gone over even 700 yards the last 2 years. So they got to get Drake May, a playmaker on the outside, and they need a left tackle. Their tackle situation is a disaster, so they've got to shore up the offensive line. So many draft picks, so many resources need to be spent this offseason on the offensive line. So the offense is clearly what they need to fix, but so is the defense. The Patriots thought they'd had a pretty good defense this year, and that fell apart too. So this team is still, 2 drafts away from being a really good competitive team. So they just need bodies, and they really need to hit on draft picks and to find coaches who can develop players, because this past year the coaching staff did not do a good job with really any of the draft picks outside of Drake May and Joe Milton.
You saying Hunter Henry, not a number 1 receiving option going forward for the Patriots?
A nice safety valve. Actually did develop a good rapport with Drake May and had a good season, but he can't be your number 1. He's got to be your number 3. He's not a guy who's going to run away from a defense. He's a possession tight end. Most of the Patriots' success this year was throwing to the tight ends and the running backs. They had a little bit of success on the outside, but they haven't had a game changer at receiver, since Gronk and Edelman. So they need to get Drake May a playmaker. I would love to see Travis Hunter, but I do have a feeling that left tackle is probably where they're going to go in the first round. Because if you look at all the analytics, all the computer cowboy on Twitter and all these guys, the Patriots offensive line was just brutal this year, just really, really bad.
People in Nashville can relate to that sentiment. Ben VOLIN of the Boston Globe joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Ben, we really appreciate you taking some time with us, man, and good luck.
All right. And good luck, and thank you for having me as well.
All right. When we continue here on Main Street Sports today, we'll be talking a little college football. There has been an announcement out of DeKalb, Illinois. We'll talk about it when we come back from this break. Stay tuned.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. As I mentioned at the end of the last segment, The Athletic is reporting that Northern Illinois will join the Mountain West as a football-only member in July of 2026. The school's Board of Trustees approved the $2 million membership fee to the Mountain West during a meeting earlier today. Board of Trustees member Dennis Barsama. Get ready, Mountain West. The NIU football Huskies are coming in 2026. The vote by the Board of Trustees was unanimous, as Northern Illinois will leave the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. They will join the Mountain West. And if you are familiar with maps, the easternmost member of the Mountain West is Colorado State, which is located in Colorado Springs. I'm sorry, that's not right. Colorado Springs is where Air Force is.
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins is Colorado State. No? Fort Collins. Correct me.
Colorado State, Fort Collins. Yeah, you're
there
right.
we go. Okay. Air Force, Colorado Springs. There we go. Yeah, but I mean, that's what we're talking about. So those are the road trips at a minimum for Northern Illinois football. And again, this is a football-only move. I've seen conflicting reports as to whether the rest of Northern Illinois' athletic programs are going to remain in the MAC. I can't imagine they would. Or if they're going to go somewhere else, and I don't know where that would be. But this is wild to me. There is belief within the Mountain West that NIU's location in the Central Time Zone can help the league with its next TV deal. The league would play across 4 time zones, including Hawaii. But the Mountain West current TV deal is far more lucrative than the MAC's.
Bingo.
Yeah, there we go. Burying the lead right here. So, again, I'm baffled by what happens to the rest of Northern Illinois' athletic program, but apparently either they know or they just don't care. I'm not sure which. We've proven that we can compete with anyone in the country, says Northern Illinois AD Sean Frazier. Coming in, the expectation in the Mountain West is to coming up. Punctuation matters, y'all. Coming in, the expectation in the Mountain West is to be extremely competitive to the point that we're not looking to come in and just win games. We're looking to win championships. That has been the identity that we've had, and I feel really good. I won't say comfortable. I feel really good that we're going to be able to do that day one when we go into the conference. So I think Northern Illinois raises the number of Mountain West teams to 9 for 2026, so they would be able to play a 8-game football schedule. Yeah. 9 football teams, 11 members total, as they try to, kind of supplant the old Pac 10, 12, 2, whatever it is, as the preeminent athletic conference on the western side of the United States. So, you feel like you've gotten to a point where this realignment has stopped, and then something else happens and it just kind of bears out. It's not going to stop.
No, I still fully believe. We're basically headed toward Big Ten, SEC, Super League, and then everybody else right now is just fighting for the scraps. And props to NIU for trying to get their stake on the scraps right now, because it feels like once this merry-go-round finally settles and we get that Super League going, then not irrelevant, maybe too strong of a term, but it certainly feels like the attention is going to fall off an absolute cliff for the other conferences, quote-unquote conferences, or league, whatever it looks like at that point, in my opinion.
It's definitely going to be a haves and have-nots type situation there, and you want to get as close to the haves as possible, I guess. And so never a dull moment. It wouldn't be college football if we didn't talk portal. And former Baylor school receiver Amari Jefferson, who signed with Alabama as a two-sport standout a couple of years ago, is transferring back to the Volunteer State and back to the Volunteers, apparently. Stephen Hargis of the Chattanooga Times Free Press is reporting Jefferson is headed to UT after redshirting this past season and will have 4 years of eligibility at what is emerging as a position of need for the Vols, for sure. He had a really good previous relationship with the Tennessee staff and was really torn between those two when he made his original commitment, according to Mario Jefferson, Amari's father. It was neck and neck between those two, but he really wanted the chance to play for Nick Saban. Once Coach Saban retired and the new staff came in, Amari really didn't have a relationship with those guys, so he started to rethink things. Again, 6 foot 195 pounder, was a heck of an outfielder for the Red Raiders in addition to his football talents. Recently underwent minor hip surgery, is not expected to play baseball this spring, but will consider doing so next year for, by the way, the 2024 College World Series national champions. So Jefferson was the Division II AAA Mr. Football winner as a senior in 2023. 74 catches, 1,401 yards, 20 touchdowns. And again, was one of the state's top 15 baseball prospects as a senior. So, man, this guy, talented, doesn't even begin to cover it, apparently. And like I said, a position of need for Tennessee, as they've lost some guys, including Squirrel White, who has come out of the portal at Florida State, apparently. Who's going to throw it to him? No idea. But Squirrel White is at Florida State. So,
yeah, Tennessee's looking to load up. I saw this, I forget which site. It was kind of breaking down pecking order for SEC going into next year, and they said, as bad as it is, the The good news is if you're worried about Josh Heupel's offense as opposed to worried about his defense, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We feel pretty confident in his ability to get the offense back where it needs to be. You had your concerns about him on the defensive side of the ball, so hopefully this edition will kind of help solidify some things.
Yeah, and with, obviously with Nico coming back, you want to get him some weapons to throw it around to. So this would appear to help that situation. Continuing to peruse the portal, Jaron Kawhi Sagapalutale, there we go, was one of the top quarterback prospects on the West Coast this past fall. Had committed to Cal in July, flipped to Oregon in early December, was on campus with the Ducks, took part in the preparation for their matchup with Ohio State, went into the portal following Oregon's loss to Ohio State, and has emerged out of it with Cal.
They need a QB. Mendoza transferred to Indiana this offseason. So Cal, good little signing for the ACC wannabes, the Golden Bears. They needed some help.
Yeah, apparently, and apparently they weren't shy about, hey, we know that you decommitted, but have you looked at our quarterback room recently? So yeah, that's just amazing to me. Again, this guy was on campus long enough to prepare with these guys for a bowl game appearance and then jumped out. I just felt that there was another school in particular that was right for me. I'm excited to be a priority over there and to get to work. I'm ready to see what God has in store for me at Cal. I mean, what did you see in 3 weeks that said to you that you weren't a priority? I mean, these guys were getting ready for a national championship playoff game. What did you want? I see why coaches are getting out of this with this kind of stuff going on. Now, I mean, again, I've said on more than one occasion, I'm for the players in terms of being able to move, and I'm for the players in terms of getting paid, but this is some ridiculousness.
New world, baby.
It really is. It really is. And it's, again, this has got to be tweaked, man. You can't sign a guy in December and lose him in January. That's crazy. Finally, North Dakota State 35, Montana State 32 in last night's FCS championship game. It was the 10th FCS championship in 14 years for North Dakota State. Can you say dynasty?
Man, yeah.
Among NDSU's victories this season was a 52-3 win over visiting Tennessee State first week in September. So at least Eddie George and the Tigers can say they lost to the national champs. But looked like a pretty good ball game. I caught bits and pieces of it last night. North Dakota State was up pretty good. Montana State rallied back, but just never could get inside of that one possession late, and fell in a classic matchup between two pretty perennial FCS title contenders there. But North Dakota State has really kind of distanced themselves from the field here over the last little bit. So congrats to them. Hour number one of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we come back for hour number two, we'll be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, talking all things MTSU. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilai Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. In the final segment, we will give you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. Do with these what you will. We're a week into the new year, so I'm sure you've got yours. You don't need any help from us. But here's kind of what we think might be decent resolutions to consider. So stick around for that. Right now, we are joined by the Blue Raider voice. You can find him at Choose Chip on Twitter. It's Chip Walters, the pride of the dimple, with us here.
Have
Chip,
a question.
Talk to me.
Go on.
I want to know, was Wade a punter in high school?
Wasn't that coordinated?
Should have been, because you've certainly outkicked your coverage. So congratulations.
Hey, stop all that. Stop all that. Hey, yeah, by the way, I updated. I'm rarely on Facebook. And so the other day I was like, well, my profile's pretty dang old. I got a few things I need to update. I forgot that Facebook publishes all of your updates to the world. So I'm going through the press box at Nissan Stadium Sunday, and everybody's like, congratulations on getting married. I was like, man, that was like three months ago.
That's what I said. Again?
I was, man, I thought I forgot that Zuckerberg puts all your info out there for the world to see. So on one hand, I'm happy, I'm giving an accurate portrayal of my life on the internet. But on the other hand, I'm like, come on now. But I appreciate the compliment. I will pass that along to the missus.
Well, I mean, that could have told you that 6 months ago or 6 months from now. But congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm just glad that Wade and Mary Austin are now Facebook official.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a load off my mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know who loves that the most? My mom, who lives on Facebook. So she, of all people, is the most appreciative of that. She probably was a little concerned until it became Facebook official.
There you go.
She thought she was not quite sure you weren't living in sin up until that point.
Exactly.
Oh, Chip. Explain to me the basketball court at Florida International, please.
Well, it's it's the same as it's been for about the last 10 years. I'm
Oh,
not sure if that
really?
was,
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah, it's been that way. But they made a big deal about one side of the court, which just happens to be the side where I sit on. It looks like where the water and the beach come together. You might have to put a picture of it up there for a better description, but it is supposed to look like it is supposed to look like Miami Beach, and I'm telling you, it is the most confusing thing for players to stay in bounds of any court in college baskespall.
Stay in bounds and to know whether you're shooting a three or not, I would imagine.
It's a mess. Yeah, on especially in what would be the left corner when you get over there into the water, so to speak. So, but the Blue Raiders stayed in bounds, shot enough threes, and got a road win at FIU. And this is hard to believe. That was the 49th meeting between Middle and FIU. They play when they come back here. That'll be 50 times that they will have played each other. That's just crazy.
It really is. I never would have thought.
What's the break? You got the breakdown handy on that?
It is 37-12 Middle.
We like to hear that.
Like
Now,
that.
here's a trivia question: who was FIU's coach the first time that the two teams played each other? I will tell you that Bruce Stewart, I'm pretty sure either Bruce Stewart or Dave Farrar was the head coach at Middle when they played FIU for the first time. Who would be your guess?
Oh, good Lord.
When I tell you, you're going to fall off, you're going to swallow your snuff, Mo.
I've been warned. Go ahead.
And then this guy will be a little older and probably out of Wade's wheelhouse, but how about Bob Weltlick?
Oh, the former Mississippi State coach, among other
Ole Miss
things.
coach, former Ole Miss coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Indiana assistant on the 76 team for Bob Knight, and then was head coach at Ole Miss, won an SEC title down there, very good coach, and then he wound up at FIU. But yeah, he was the first. I don't know if he didn't start the program at FIU, but the first time that Middle played FIU back in the late 80s, early 90s, that was who the head coach there was. But anyway, but Middle got a good win. Came from behind late. FIU, they press all over the floor. They press 94 feet for 40 minutes, and they double team the ball no matter where it is. And it's just craziness. It's a very ugly style of play, but it's effective for them and for a team that may be a bit maybe I don't want to say less talented, but might not have as quite a deep of a roster. It causes some wild runs both ways. I mean, in our game in particular, just for instance, with about 12 minutes to go, Middle was up by 7. At about the 8-minute mark, we were down by 7. Came back and won, and then you win that. You go to Liberty, whose style of play could not be more different. They're almost totally a half-court defensive team, and Liberty they run beautiful offense. I mean, it is freedom of movement. It's backdoor cuts. A lot of what the old school guys love to see, and FIU just kind of jumps it up. So it's a totally different kind of thing, and you play them on the same road trip, which, by the way, there is no good way to get from Lynchburg, Virginia to Miami or vice versa. So, and another little trick that FIU pulls is that if you play them on the backside of that trip on the Saturday, they play early, hoping that you've had a a full day of travel on Friday, and that you don't want to get up and have a 7:30 a.m. Shoot around.
Little gamesmanship, huh?
Little gamesmanship. They play at 2:00, and up back when that swing was FIU FAU, they never played an afternoon game on Saturday. It was always a 7:00 game.
But now that it's Liberty,
and if whoever and Western Kentucky was the victim of that this time around, and they paid for it, losing by 20.
Wow.
At FIU, which
it's interesting that it's that obvious, and yet the league doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, people have asked the league before that if your game is not on a real network, if it like our game at Liberty was on CBS, if it's not on one of the ESPN over the air or cable channels, not streaming, not ESPN Plus, people have asked and say if if your Saturday game is not on one of those, play it at 2:00 to where people have the opportunity to get home on Saturday. Like for instance, for Western had, it's a tough turnaround. And by the way, that swing will probably change next year. I'll go into that in a minute, but Western probably at 2:00 probably had the chance to get home on a flight to Nashville out of Miami and got home by 10:00 Saturday night. Now Middle played a night road game at Liberty, and there were a group of us that had a 6:30 a.m. Eastern time flight out of Lynchburg to Charlotte. The rest of the group, a 9 a.m. flight to Charlotte. And then everybody was on a 1:00 flight from Charlotte to Nashville. And I walked in my house at 4:00 on Sunday afternoon. So, there's
some give and take to that.
There is some give and take there, but it made for a long travel day on Sunday coming home. We were fortunate to have a charter flight after the game on Thursday out of Miami to Lynchburg. So we got to Lynchburg about 1 a.m. after the game, which was not bad.
But you're always in a hurry to get to Lynchburg, right?
That's right. And we left Miami, by the way, it was 7:00 or 75 degrees. Got to Lynchburg, it was 25 degrees.
Oh,
yeah.
Like I said, you're always in a hurry to get to Lynchburg.
Yeah, exactly.
That Florida International win, I mean, that's obviously it's a road win, and those particularly in that conference, Chip, I think you guys were the only ones to win on the road.
Us in Western,
that opening.
Western won at Liberty by 1. They came from 16 down to win at Liberty. Middle came from 7 down to win by 4 at FIU, and those were the only road wins on the opening weekend. Louisiana Tech, who, if you remember, picked first in the preseason, lost by 30 on Saturday at New Mexico State.
How's that happen?
Speaking of road trips.
Yeah, New Mexico State, UTEP. It's not. I mean, it's really easy. That is now an easier road trip than FIU Liberty, because once you get there, they're 45 minutes apart on a bus. But what it also tells you is UTEP and New Mexico State are really, really good at home. Conference USA, by the way, going into the league's part of the season, Conference USA was 54-6 in non-conference home games this year, and in the net going into last weekend was the number 9 ranked conference out of 30 some odd in the country, ranked just ahead of the American. So I
don't know, Chip.
USA,
I think the number
improved.
I think the number that jumps out at me there is that Conference USA was able to get 60 non-conference home games.
Yeah. I mean, it's not against the 27 Yankees, because they won't come. The Power Fives won't come. But one thing that has helped is the Conference USA WAC challenge. That means everybody got 2 home games out of that. So 2 times 10, there's 20 of your 60 home games. Middle had Lipscomb as well as Murray. So there's 4. But in Middle's the only one right now on the men's side who has won 3 true road games. Middle's won on the year. Middle won at Abilene Christian, won at UAB, and then at FIU. So, those road games I like to say that the road wins are double good. But now you come home and you got a whole serve, and you've got 3 straight at home now.
Yeah, and you kind of set the calendar up nicely there, Chip. You got Kennesaw State, Jack State, and WKU all rolling in.
Yeah.
What did you take away from this weekend that kind of did you learn anything new, I guess, coming out of those 2 games?
I think maybe that Liberty is more skilled than I thought they were. They're really good. They really run the floor well, and Matheny can just shoot it from anywhere, and he is jet quick with the basketball. The other thing that I learned about our team is, and I don't know that I learned this, but it reinforced that being old helps because they didn't get flustered when there was a rough patch at FIU, that there was never any panic in that. You had a bad spell at Liberty, and Liberty is just good enough to bury you if you have a bad streak. FIU, again, they have kind of crazy streaks that go on in that game, but the ability to have, like at FIU, you had Cam Weston had scored 15, Jalen Counter had 17. So out of your point guard position, in a wild game, in a crazy game where taking care of the basketball was at a premium, you got 32 points out of your point guard position, and very few turnovers, which that served you well.
When you talk about being old, Chip, too, there's old, and then there's a Sam Mustafa old, and
he's 25.
So he's not Miami tight end old, but having that kind of experience, like you said, that's just something that maybe you can buy it in this day of NIL, but that's not to be overlooked, I don't think.
That's right. And, Cam Weston's been around a long time. In Jalen Counter, I learned something about him last night on the radio show. He played 3 sports in junior high, decided basketball was where he wanted to go, graduated from high school, really didn't get any offers, went to work for UPS, had a prep school contact him at Christmas time and said, hey, you might want to, think about it. He thought about it, went to the prep school. Things started happening for him, averaged 25 a game. And then next thing you know, he starts being recruited and ended up at IUPUI and then in Murfreesboro. And all of that happened during COVID. And he goes, I may be the only guy in America that COVID was a blessing to me. It allowed my career to continue in basketball.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. Because, like he said, and to your point, a lot of folks probably would have just, I'm good, I'm done, because, what if you go to prep school and then it doesn't pan out? And then basically you're a year behind in, just getting going with your life. It would have been easy enough to just not. So good for him. And he certainly emerged as a guy from Middle here. So
he has, and that the tweak in the lineup that has where he's starting and Cam Weston comes in off the bench, and to have a guy with the firepower that Cam Weston has, really, you talk about being able to have no drop off. And then, coaches will tell you it's not who starts, it's who finishes. And when the game is on the line in the last 5 minutes, who's out there? Jalen and Cam.
Right.
They're both out there. And Nick and his coaching staff have really done a good job developing this group.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It's not just the Blue Raiders that have gotten off to a solid start on the hardwood. The Lady Raiders now hold the record for consecutive Conference USA victories with 31 after dispatching FIU and Liberty from the Glass House, tails tucked between their legs over the weekend.
Win both games by about 30, give or take a few points. Liberty was picked second in the league, and Middle beat them 69-41. Jalen Gregory has really gotten going. Tamia Scott had 23. There's a 1-2 punch with 49 of Middle 69 points in that game came from those two young ladies. Tamia is such an athletic force, and all the attention that she draws, just allows Jalen Gregory to kind of swim out around the 3-point line like a shark. And then on those days when she's really on, she is very, very tough to handle.
I'm going to tell you what, though. If you play her as a 3-point shooter and you get up on her, she will drive it by you.
Yes, she will. She's got that ability, and she's got a little Macon County toughness in her, and that area of the state has been good to Middle for a long time. And Jalen Gregory is, the latest of those, and here she is. I mean, she, played for 3 years with Courtney Whitson, and those two, earned and learned leadership qualities as they went along. Courtney, while still on the staff, not on the floor, but Jalen has kind of taken over that she's the elder statesman of the ball club now, and really handles that role very well.
I was watching some of the Liberty game the other day and seeing Courtney, on the bench in street clothes. Yeah, but it kind of made me smile, though, just the fact that she's still around the program, and any program that she's going to be around is going to be better for her presence, man. And it's really cool to see her doing it at her alma mater. Got some football news, Chip. You were late with the cheat sheet, but you got it to me, so we're just going to continue with that.
Really in football, the transfer portal is going to close here shortly. And again, this is just when you look at. I don't, like you and I, like the rest of us, I don't have access to the official portal, in the NCAA, that database, but 24/7 Sports has a pretty good one. And it looks like after the initial signing date of high school players, where Middle ended up, I think, was 17. It was 16 on signing day, and I think they added one more. And then things start happening in the portal. It's my understanding that this week they have about 9 kids coming in during the week, because it will close, I think, sometime later in the week, like Thursday or Friday, because the AFCA convention in Charlotte is coming up this weekend. So the portal closes before that. But according to what you see on social media, I think there have been about 9 commitments so far, and with an expectation of a few more. And then you'll have the other portal window that'll come right after spring practice. So right now you're looking at probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 to 35 new faces right now. And that's with another portal session to come. And again, what's really odd is how this is all part of what seems to me the myriad of things that have fallen through the cracks when it comes to the portal. They don't have to sign anything. All they have to do is basically apply to school. There's no NIL or NLI, National Letter of Intent. There's plenty of NIL, but a lack of NLI. There's no scholarship paper signed.
They don't have to sign a financial agreement, financial aid agreement with the school.
At some point they do, but not right out of the gate. So there's a lot of hanging chads, so to speak, I guess schools. I mean, they put it out there when you commit, I guess, to kind of hold your feet to the fire a little bit. So it's in this new age of things, you just kind of hold your breath till everybody shows up.
Yeah. Any coaching staff news, or is everything pretty much locked in there?
It's all been that's all happening in Nashville, but nothing today. I haven't seen anything on any changes of like guys that are going for new jobs or anything like that. With the AFCA convention coming up, there may be
some wheelings and dealings.
There may be guys on our staff who may be coveted by other folks for jobs. I was kind of hoping I would get to see Willie Simmons last Thursday down at FIU, but apparently he was not at the game, and he joined the multitudes who were not at FIU. And but Willie, because he's got a lot of middle flavor on that staff.
Yeah, did I just see? Name is just blanked on me. Well, first of all, we mentioned Craddock was in the mix for a potential. It sounds like he's potentially coming back to Tulane. And then
I saw him put up something on his Twitter account the other day that had all it was a Tulane logo, and thought, well, okay, I guess that means I had not seen anything about where he might was be talking to or whatever. But yeah, he looks like he's going to be there. So you got Joe is there.
Nick Coleman's who I was thinking of, Chip.
Yeah, Nick Coleman's the offensive coordinator at FIU now. So and believe it, there were some rumors. Football Scoop had put out that Rick Stockstill had been a candidate for the tight end job, but I think he has gotten more responsibilities now at Florida State. And I think the family is happy with. They have a home near over near Destin, that area, so I think they kind of like that part of the state more so than not a big desire to move to Miami.
Where is Brent, Chip?
He is with the Indianapolis Colts as an analyst because I did see
analyze.
I did see family photos the day the Titans played in Indianapolis. The whole family went up and their family picks up there. So they do second child, by the way, for Brent, and his wife has arrived.
Academic honors for a certain quarterback in blue.
Nick Vattiato. He is been named academic all district. He is the one Blue Raider who made that list. So he is a potential for academic All-American honors, and that is an honor that is put out by, I should know this right now, but that would be the College
Sports Communicators.
Speaking of
formerly
which,
COSIDA.
Formerly COSIDA, exactly. Yeah, go ahead, Chip. I know where you're going.
Speaking of our being from the Dimple, John Painter who is now at Maryville College. He was named to the College Sports Communicators Hall of Fame, along with longtime Vanderbilt SID, now Kentucky SID, Tony.
Now long time Kentucky.
Yeah, now longtime Kentucky SID, Tony Squealy Neely has been named to that group. So congratulations to Tony and in particular to John. I texted Paint the other day when I was working at WKRM while I was in high school, working for WKRM, calling the Central High School games on the radio. John was working for Marion at the Daily Herald and was covering Central High School. So John would ride with me to wherever Central was playing basketball, and he also doubled as my color announcer on the broadcast and would then write the story. So we've been kind of attached at the hip for a long, long time, and I'm really proud of him.
Couple of Columbia guys done pretty well for yourselves. Congratulations to John Painter and to Tony Neely and to friend of the show, Scotty Rogers of the Cotton Bowl Classic, who was also in that 6-person induction class that will be honored later this summer by
also
the College Sports Communicators.
I want to send out a couple of other congratulations today.
Now you're getting ready to get into my run of show, but go ahead.
Okay, National Sports Media Association.
I
want to just congratulate Bob Kessling in this year of his retirement. Was named the Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year, and also friend of all of us, Mr. Neil Price, is named the Mississippi Sportscaster of the Year. And Neil worked for me at Middle when he was getting his bachelor's degree, and now the voice of the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Bob Kessling is the NSMA Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year. Jim Wyatt, mentioned earlier in the show of Titans Online, is the NSMA Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year. I believe this is Bob's 5th such honor and Jim's 7th. So congratulations to both those guys.
Jim has won it 7 times.
7 times. It's
and I'll tell you, probably most of those were before he went to work for the Titans, wasn't it? Or
no,
really? Well,
No.
I mean, I think he does a great job, and to be a beat writer that actually works for the organization, there's some challenges that come with that, and I think he does a great job. He is a great example of how to do that.
There are some challenges that come with that, Chip, but it's probably a conversation best had elsewhere. But I think there are also some advantages that come with that. So,
but and I think about Sam Doughton, who does the same thing for GoBlueRaiders.com. He really does a great job as a beat writer and columnist, covering the team. In trying to be somewhat independent, but also you work for the organization's publication, basically.
Yeah, and I think that there are some different dynamics there when Sam is Anyway, congratulations to both those guys. Just further reinforcement of the great job that they have both done for quite some time. So Chip, what are we looking forward to here in the next week? I know that the guys are at home and the women go on the road for the next 3, I guess.
Well, school doesn't start until for 2 more weeks from today. It does not. It does not. They don't get back until 2 weeks from today. But the one thing that is kind of looming out there for baseball fans, and what a better time to talk hot stove things than to talk about with the snow coming in this week, is the Groundhog Day luncheon for Blue Raider baseball scheduled for January 31st. It will be a sellout again, so get your tickets, and it'll be in the Student Union Ballroom. And while the program may have nuances and differences from year to year, we know that the chow does not change. It is ham hocks, white beans, cornbread, green onions, tomato salad, chocolate cake, and vanilla ice cream.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
That's right.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here as he does most every Tuesday. Chip, we
Unless I
appreciate it.
don't. Yep.
Unless you don't.
Yeah.
Stay warm, and we will try to catch up with you next Tuesday.
All right. See you, boys.
Thank you, Chip.
All right. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll get into the grab bag briefly before we get to our final segment, Top 5 Tuesday. Our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
The journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, or in a portion of our final segment, because this may be our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. So stick around for that as we wrap up the show with that in the last 10 minutes or so. Right now, though, it's a grab bag, and with the 2024 National Football League regular season wrapping up on Sunday, the 2025 schedules, to a degree, have been set. Teams know who they will play both home and away based on how they finished in their respective divisions. They don't know dates yet, but they do know teams. And for the team in question here locally, the Tennessee Titans will play 9 home games against the AFC South foes Texas, Colts, and Jaguars, but also against Kansas City, the Chargers, New England, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Saints. They will travel in addition to those 3 AFC South foes, to Denver. They will travel to the Raiders. They will travel to Cleveland, the Arizona Cardinals, and the San Francisco 49ers. So again, 8 road games, 9 home games. And the formula is based on matching up with whoever I guess for the Titans, they were last in the AFC South, so they got the last place team out of a couple of other divisions. And there is a division which looks like the NFC West, maybe, that they match up with for next year. I'm not sure exactly what the formula is now, especially with the 17th game. But those are the teams that the Titans will play next year, and that's where they will play them. I don't know what exactly to make of that schedule, but there it is. Any thoughts jump out to you, Wade, as you look at that?
Well, thoughts were, man, you drew a tough boat getting the AFC West.
AFC West.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the trip to Vegas, which will be fun, but other than that, you still got to deal with the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. And going to Denver will certainly be tough. Playing Kansas City and LA at home for a team that was as bad as the Titans were this year, I don't know that playing them at home is that much of a reprieve. So that'll be tough. But, you know, a trip to Vegas could cure a lot of things in many regards. And then you do get the Browns, which, you know, not necessarily going to jump off the page, but in theory, a pretty winnable road game at this point. Who knows what Arizona will look like? They kind of were up and down all season, explosive at times, but also really bad at times. So, and then who knows what the 49ers look like next year? They may be ready a step or two away from, depending on when that game is, they could be already imploding again, and you're thinking about a full reset at that point.
Man, and you know, injuries really took a toll on the 49ers, and they certainly expected to be better than they were this year. So
it was a tough break, man. And, you know, it was tough. I don't know if you saw it. Jawan Jennings, our guy, got thrown out 15 yards, 25 yards shy of 1,000. 2 weeks in a row he gets in fights, and this time they ding him for the ejection. My man was 25 yards shy of 1,000. You got to at least wait till you get to 1,000 before you start scrapping.
That's tough. But there is no off switch for Jawan Jennings, though. And, you know,
apparently we saw it 2 weeks in a row.
But, you know, I'm going to take up for Jawan for a second. I mean, Dad Benny is a friend of the show and that kind of thing, and a friend of mine, but he got ejected this past weekend against Arizona, but I'm not sure that he instigated that situation. You know, it takes two to
Hey, I want to make the record clear. Yeah, I want to make the record clear. I'm cool with all that went down. I'm just saying, at least catch one for 25 so you can at least get a couple extra shekels in your pocket before then you start throwing hands.
Yeah, you'd like to think that there was some kind of incentive out there for him to get 1,000. I don't think he's had 1,000 before, and especially in that crowded receiver room with the 49ers. So that would have been a heck of an accomplishment. But, yeah, he'd have been a great hockey player, because throwing hands has never been an issue for Jawan. I tell you, I don't know if he can skate or not, but you know, the Dodgers have been collecting pieces ever since they collected that trophy back at the end of October, 1st of November, as the World Series champs. Well, they finally got rid of one. Gavin Lux was traded yesterday to Cincinnati. You know, they signed Ha-Seong Kim, a multi-talented infielder, here not too long ago. And so now they've kind of opened some stuff up on the infielder. This article on CBSSports.com lists Gavin Lux as a second baseman, but as so many guys are, played a lot of positions for the Dodgers this past year. I think he played some shortstop, played some outfield. I don't know exactly where he figures in for Cincinnati, but hit .251 with 10 homers this past season. And again, they just threw a bunch of guys on the field, and it's like whatever position you get to first, that's where you're playing. You know, he was there. Obviously, Mookie Betts, Chris Taylor, Miguel Rojas, Tommy Edman, who they traded for and then re-signed over the offseason, I think 3 years, $74 million. So, and then again, adding Kim. So it's still a lot of guys for a finite number of positions, you would think. And I don't know how that winds up other than Mookie Betts is going to lead off and play somewhere.
Embarrassment
or
of
bat
riches.
second, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and it's an embarrassment of riches, but I don't know. I don't know what Dave Roberts does. I don't know if he enters those names in a computer and whatever it spits out is where he puts them. I don't know how that thing works, man, because you've got so many guys that can play so many different positions. It would feel really uncomfortable to me, but seemed to work for them this year anyway.
Positionless basketball, just roll it out. Positionless baseball.
Baseball, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I was fascinated. I saw a tweet here in the last 24 hours or so, maybe a little bit more. You know, we talked yesterday to Pete Weber, and we were talking about South Bend, Indiana being the site of the Studebaker factory. Well, apparently it is also the site of a women's basketball commitment who posted the first quintuple double in Indiana high school history. Kira Reynolds, 6'4" forward out of Washington High School in South Bend. 14 points, 18 boards, 12 assists, 11 steals, 10 blocks. And she sold popcorn in an 85-12 win for Washington over New Prairie.
Wow.
Again, 14 points, 10 blocks, 11 steals, 12 assists, and 18 boards. She is the first player in IHSAA history to reach 1,000 career points, 1,000 career rebounds, 500 blocks, and 300 assists. Averaging a double-double with 16.6 points, 13.5 rebounds, with 6.5 blocks, 6.3 assists, and 3.5 steals.
Wow.
So, I mean, this wasn't necessarily all that far out of the pale for her.
Wimby could never.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Well, Wimby could, but
he probably could.
It seems unlikely. That is crazy. And, you know, I'm reading this article too. Her sister's already on Purdue.
Right.
And her brother's also ranked as a top 100 player for next year. So, I mean, she comes by it honest. But that
both parents played
crazy.
overseas.
That's unreal.
Yeah. That's a pretty good get for Purdue, I dare say. They're in the Big Ten. So, speaking of college hoops, Leonard Hamilton is being sued for failed NIL payments by 6 former Florida State players. The allegation is that he failed to make good on a promise to get each of them $250,000 in NIL compensation. Promised the money from his business partners. Apparently, they walked out of a practice last year over this, intended to boycott the February 17th game against Duke. They wound up playing after Hamilton guaranteed them that they would be paid, but they never were. Got to get it in writing, boys. So,
I mean,
two
that
of
is a
these
crazy
guys-
headline, and then you automatically start wondering. I mean, man, if depending on how all this plays out, how does that impact your recruiting going forward, right?
Well, I don't know, but Hamilton is in the final year of his contract, so take that for what it's worth. Man, we're not in a great place, and I don't know how we address some of this, but the genie isn't going back in the bottle, so stay tuned. Wade, you are way more in tune to PGA Tour activity than I am. Tiger Woods and Scotty Scheffler were the top two players in terms of payout from the tour's Player Impact Program. It's the PGA's version of a PIP, not to be confused with a Performance Improvement Program. But I don't know how these numbers are arrived at, but Tiger received a $10 million payment for finishing in the top spot in the PGA Tour's Player Impact Program in 2024. Scheffler second with $8 million. McIlroy, Schauffele, and Spieth each received $4.5 million. Again, I don't know how those numbers are arrived at, and it's not really explained in this article that I'm looking at. But for the season that Tiger had competitively, to come away with $10 million as a bonus, I mean, what does that? Okay, here we go. After dishing out $100 million to 20 different players, the PIP prize pool was cut in half in 2024, as only $50 million was split among the top 10 finishers. The PIP formula is based on internet searches, earned media, TV sponsor exposure, general population awareness, and golf fan awareness. That's, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, just call it the Tiger Woods payout.
Yeah.
Just move on with it.
Yeah, because as long as he's on the scene, he's going to be at the top of that, you would think. So, but yeah.
Not surprising him. Yeah, my man, props to him. You know, as this competitive game has fallen off, he still found ways to, number one, remain in the national conversation and spotlight, and therefore securing a lot of bags.
A lot of bags. Tiger always moves the needle, and apparently as long as this is in place, he's always going to secure the bag. So, hey, props to him. I'm not mad at him. Let's go ahead and head into Top 5 Tuesday, presented by MidSouth 5 Fitness. Two great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia, whatever shape it is that you are in. Thalas Steel will get you in a better one. You can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Again, MidSouth 5 Fitness bringing you Top 5 Tuesday. No coincidence, probably, but this week, Wade and I will give you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. Wade, the floor is yours.
Let's dive in, and we're doing this today. Next Friday, set your watch. Next Friday is what they call Quitter's Day. So if we don't make it to next Friday for some of these, and I got the feeling I probably won't, but just mind your business, as we like to say.
That's it. That's it.
Number one for me, you know what? I'm probably gonna succumb to this, but I want to spend less money on Lego sets this year. I developed a bad habit with Lego sets in 2024. I think I ended up getting like 15 done. I need to spend less money on Lego sets. That money could be spent better elsewhere.
My number one, and I'm not a person that makes resolutions just because of Quitter's Day, basically, but
we can make it to next Friday, hopefully.
Something I do need to be more mindful of. I need to cook more. I eat out a lot, probably way too much, certainly too much. And so I probably need to cook a little bit more and, save some money, flex in the kitchen a little bit. So that would be a resolution if I were to make one.
I'm with you on that. I go in waves on cooking. I'll cook at home for, a month or two and then just
fall off.
It goes in waves. Right now we're smack dab in the middle of soup season. This is my time to thrive, though, so I can do that with the best of them. So I'm with you there on getting back in. Number 2, I got close to this yesterday, Mo. Already, just 6 days into the year. One of my resolutions: I want to complete the New York Times crossword without cheating. Had to cheat on like 4 clues yesterday, 4 or 5 clues. I'm getting close. They say on Monday it's the easiest day of the week, and it gets a little harder as the week goes on. So if you give me the right Monday, I feel like I might be able to pull this off later this year. I'd like to pull it off without cheating.
Keep us posted. We will certainly celebrate that when the time comes. My number 2, I don't know that this is going to happen, but I really need to spend less time on social media.
Well, who doesn't?
Well, yeah, but there are some, and then there is me. Yeah.
Oh man.
So, yeah, true confessions. I do this too much, and
we've got some apps we'll send to you that can make that happen for you. They'll lock you out of social media.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: I don't look at my screen time on my phone because I would be embarrassed to know. Yeah. So
mine sends updates on Sunday, and I start crying every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. My excuse is I'm getting ready for it's show prep, and there is that, but I got to get this under control. So that's my number 2.
I'm
number
with you
3,
there.
Wade.
Number 3, I'm going right after we get done, so maybe I'm on to something. I got to get back in the gym and watch my sugar a little bit. Around Halloween and around Thanksgiving and around Christmas, that winter coat starts developing for me, and I got to get back in the gym, get back on my fitness. Shout out to our sponsor here, but I got to get back in, and I got to watch my sugar intake going forward here. The winter coat will lead into a permanent coat if I'm not careful.
I was wondering where that would be for you. My number 3, I want to travel more. And to those who are giving me grief about cruises and that kind of thing, well, I'd like to take more of those or do something, go somewhere. So if you don't see me, as Wade said, mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, Mr. Neely.
4th on my list, I want to keep my expectations in check for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're off to a great start. Nobody's been healthy really at any prolonged stretch. I don't know that anybody will be healthy when the chips are needed to be put down. So I got to keep my expectations in check. I feel like it's there for the taking if they're healthy, but the track record hadn't been great. If we can keep Ja on the court and out of trouble and on the court and healthy, maybe we got a shot. But I'm going to keep my expectations in check. That's a New Year's resolution of mine this year. But right now it's looking good.
So far, trouble hasn't been the issue for Demetrius
Yeah.
Jamel. So hopefully that will continue. Maybe he set a resolution or 2.
That'd be great.
Yeah. My number 4 is not necessarily sleep more, but sleep more regularly. I stay away from the late nights and that kind of thing because I am by nature a night owl. But if I can get myself to bed at a decent hour, maybe I can get up at a decent hour and be a little bit more productive. So sleep and kind of, regulate that a little bit better. Your number 5.
I'm with you on that one too. Number 5 for me, I ran one in October and I said, I need to chill out. I need to stop doing this. I got to stop signing up for half marathons. I've already signed up for 2 this year. When I said in October, I was probably not going to run one for a long time. So I've already kind of gone back on my word, but I'm chalking that up to 24. No new half marathons. How about that?
No new half marathons.
Yeah.
I like that.
And certainly no fulls, at least not for now.
In reflection of your Grizzlies resolution, I'm going to try to temper my expectations regarding the guys down south, the Atlanta Braves. They've been very quiet over this offseason, and I'm not quite sure how to take that, but I'm going to try to temper my expectations there. That is your Top 5 Tuesday here, presented by MidSouth 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. That is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today. We'll see y'all at 2 o'clock tomorrow.